In this episode of All About the Insight, I chat with Alice Bresciani, Insight Director at Yonder Consulting. Alicia talks about the power of storytelling in insights and the need for fresh perspectives from insights. We also talk about the need to build trust with clients and how to confidently handle budgetary restraints. Please enjoy listening. Hi everybody and welcome to All About the Insight. Our guest today is Alice Bresciani. She is an Insight Director from Yonder Consulting. Hello Alicia.
Hello, hi everyone. Hi Alex.
Hi, lovely to have you here. As you know, Alicia, this podcast is all around insights and why insights matter, and we'll be talking a lot around insights. But to begin with, just tell us a little bit about your journey to where you are today.
Sure. So I've started many years ago in media. So I've started in media, and then from media I went to creative agencies, and then more digital agencies, and then I've ended now I've landed in Yonder, and it's and I love actually I think what I really enjoy about my career is that I've been in different places, in different companies. So I've seen how different companies, the different setups do insights, how they package them, and how they convince the clients to buy into the insights. But also the size of the companies is really also has been very different. So I managed to just now very big agencies, but I've also been boutique agencies, very small cultural insight agencies whereby we were just quite just a very small number of people in London, and the rest of staff, mostly freelancers, were in other countries. And in terms of, and this is another thing that I have enjoyed, that I've experienced in different industries when it comes to inside, different size of companies, different business models as well. And it also different clients, industries. But also what I really enjoyed that I've been in insights and I've been in strategy as well. So I've actually been in, I was a strategy at Carrot, so I was the one asking for insights
Okay.
to the yeah to the insight team, and but also at times so the methods approaches I've been doing qualitative work, which is my passion, as well as quant, and then more digital and social insights. So
Okay.
I think I covered a good spectrum of everything and anything when it comes to insights.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, it's great to have that kind of varied career. I suppose one question that comes from that
Mm.
is what for you were the drivers, the motivations for getting into insights after the different media and creative and whatever, and for staying in insights. What is it about insights that appeals to you?
Mm. I believe that particularly how we're doing, as we see this, yonder insights are the drivers for everything, right? So they are the foundation, and so it's not just the insight per se. It's not the aha moment that you get from insight, but it's this insight narrative which is as important. So, which actually insight narrative means that it's very methodology agnostic. So it's not about doing this is a quant, this is cold, this is digital, but it's about what is the story that you're telling about. And I love that. I love the storytelling of insights. The fact that you get into a point where um, you can actually convince the clients that what you're saying is it's not just a story of how things are now, what we uncovered, but also it opens up a world of possibilities to them because this was insights too, right? Being
Mm.
at the heart of everything. Insights inspires creative, inspires product development, inspires brand platform strategies, inspires relevance, cultural relevance.
Yeah,
So I
definitely.
think it's really see as the starting point of
Brilliant,
everything.
brilliant. And you mentioned obviously I totally agree. You mentioned as well storytelling
Yeah.
uh, And I'm quite interested in storytelling because to me, there are kind of different definitions, ways of thinking around
Mm.
storytelling, ways of doing it. How would you define storytelling? What is storytelling to you?
Yeah. So the storytelling is when you start with um a convention, right? So you start as how we see things, and you sort of flip it over. You say actually, and we do quite very interesting projects here around that. So you sort of start with hypothesis business or client might have, whether they're audiences, whether they're products, what many brands do is that they are looking at things inside of their audiences, customers from like a brand standpoint. So they're not looking from an audience standpoint, right? So the insight narrative unravels that. So it starts with the convention or what
Mm.
we know, and it starts challenging that and say, actually, this is not the truth. There are so many different. Usually, what the narrative shows you nuances within the
Mm.
insights. The difference, not just black and white, or it's not just white or black. There's so many different nuances around, particularly when it comes down to human understanding.
Yeah,
So that's what that unravels. So it starts setting the convention, unravels that, it tells you the story
yeah,
why this actually we need to sort of open our mind and eyes,
yeah,
and not
yeah,
just well, not us as a sort of researchers or strategists, but mostly clients. See?
yeah, yeah. Getting them to understand very complex, sometimes irrational human behaviour.
Yeah, isn't it exactly? And I think the main challenge, but we come on to that, the industry has is very much the flattening of that. It's becoming with AI, but not just with AI. It has been like, the assumptions that, if you have audiences, the audiences always stay the same. People always, they're the same, will never
Mm.
change, right? They never evolve. Behaviors never evolve. And it's the assumption then again, you can use AI to condense so that you research give you insights,
Mm.
or you don't need any more further research, or
Mm.
it's because you already have it in
Yeah,
house. So you're not. I think that that's one of the challenges that um brands are not thinking. They're not challenging themselves. Organizations are not
yeah,
challenging themselves.
yeah, and that an important role of insight, as you say, is to uh, provoke and get brands,
Yeah.
organisations thinking. So you're currently at Yonder. Tell me just
Yeah.
very briefly about Yonder. What's the insight setup scenario there? What types of things are you working on?
Yeah, no, it's actually very exciting because we have a whole new, I wouldn't say restructuring. I think perhaps it's a natural evolution of the company. And we have a insight. So we've got a center of excellence, which is all our specialisms around insight. So we have brilliant quantitative researchers. We've got, as I said before, qual. People have been doing qual for a long time. We've got data scientists.
Mm.
But then also we have a very interesting, we have set up a inside consultancy, which I'm part of, which is like a team of people who have been across different methods and approaches, and they have been in the life working across different clients. You see, not just other researchers and clients' organizations, but head of comms, head of
Mm.
media, policy leads. So people who might not actually, and they might really need something very different from insights than perhaps research a counterpart, same company, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the interesting thing about the insight consultancy is that it really is sort of the glue between that center of excellence or the specialism and the strategists we have, because the consultants. So you've got a brilliant team of strategists, and we've got brilliant team of creatives, right? So they can do they do
Yeah.
incredible work. So
So a whole kind of multidisciplinary
yeah,
approach there. And when you think around insights and applying insights, how do you think insights can help a business?
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in many ways, so I've done work which I can't disclose. So I've done very good work. I really good. I've really enjoyed it. But you can also see often translated to creative strategies. So I've done work around a very broad notion, what I can't really say. So some very big concepts and for a company, and that concept really was unpacking that concept, and again challenging conventions uh, was the driver of a new brand platform. And if you think
Brilliant.
about brand platform, is the again heart of everything. It's not a campaign. It's just think about getting to just do it for the
Mm.
equivalent of just do it for Nike. So there's been I don't know how many years they've been having it,
A
but
long
that
time, yeah.
is like such a rich and fluid platform that it allows you to plug in and create campaigns that feed into that, because it's really so it's really true to the brand, but it's
Mm.
also true to again human behavior. So this type of work that we do it actually is just done for a client is all about you can see the journey again, the storytelling from the insights, and then that translates into the so what. So what does it mean if we were to come up with a brand tagline, right?
Mm. Mm.
Um, and and then from there, the creative that could go along with it and the
Okay.
different campaigns ideas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's the whole journey. So this is how it works, and
Yeah.
usually it's all about how you condense that insight in one really sharp paragraph, and then
Mm.
and then from there, then I use it as a platform, like a springboard for what does it mean, what is the space the brand can play in this,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
This is how you
Yeah.
get to the
Yeah.
brand with tagline.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I can see the as you say, the kind of springboard there. What does it look and feel like for you as an agency and your clients, obviously as your clients, when Insight is working or has worked, kind of qualitatively,
Mm.
what is the culture, the atmosphere, what does it look and feel like when you know insights are being taken seriously, acted upon, and so on?
You see, I think it's very interesting. And I can talk about the different in the industries. In
Mm.
creative media, it's very straightforward, because the output of insights is a creative, for instance, in creative agency, right? So if you come up with a, for instance, a campaign idea, or well, actually creatives, and you see them in the outside world, and the client has taken them on board, then you see very quickly, you can measure the impact of that, right? That goes back into insights, right? Being a research agencies, I think this is what inside not all the outputs are there to be seen, right? So the output could be a very, say, interesting piece of like brand strategy that you
Mm.
might see the impact of it after a couple of years, right?
Mm.
After you implemented it. But it's for me, how I see the inside has worked is the type of relationship you develop with the client when they start really trusting you as an advisor more than
Mm.
I provide you see. So they come to
Yeah.
you and say, how do we move to the next stage? Or so,
And yeah, and we've been doing this podcast. Obviously, my own experience. That's a really critical thing. Is there anything that can encourage, that can help? Any tactics, strategies that help encourage that partnership approach
yeah.
and relationship, as opposed to supplier provider
Yeah, I think we've got
relationship.
a very good one. I have to say, it is particularly in such a competitive world is crucial. It's very, as I say,
Mm,
crucial to find that trust and quickly. And we've got very like long-standing clients here. We have developed incredible relationship with. And they continue trusting us, continue coming. It's not just with one piece of work, but it's about, again, as you said, it's also about advising on, for instance, AI development.
mm,
So it's having then, knowing, see, and also making sure that they know they always can always come to you if they've got questions, but also if they need to raise the profile internally, which is
mm,
key. Understanding where your stakeholders are and what they need from you and why, because they also report into somebody. You see, they also have their own sort of internal clients.
yeah.
Another thing we do a lot of is having that type of process where you don't, they might buy into the whole piece, but how you deliver it is a stage, right? So it's more a stage gate approach. So where you
Okay.
go step by step, particularly if they haven't done it before, particularly because they put a lot of money, again, their own internal perspective on this piece of work.
Mm,
And it's about addressing together. So you do work together, you workshop it, you sit together, you evaluate it. Is it useful, not useful? What is this
mm,
useful? How we proceed? So instead of having the whole already journey mapped out, having that refinement stage, again,
mm.
stage gate approach, which with new clients, we have seen where it works very well
Yeah, yeah.
because they feel like they're more in control and they're very much part of
Mm.
the journey.
Yeah, 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 and kind of building up that trust in stages,
Yeah.
as you say. So we've heard about your journey, we've heard about your business. When you think around, kind of your experience in the past,
Mm.
currently, can you think of any examples that you can share around when insights have actually led to better business decisions?
Yeah, I think it's the I don't know how much we can share, but they've got something we did for the visa actually. So we've got a big client. There's public organizations,
Mm,
and they have many stakeholders. Very complex organizations, right? Public sector, very complex. You name it.
I,
Type
I,
of
used, I used to work in
stakeholders
the
there.
public sector. It's complex. Yeah.
Very complex, the most complex sector I have to say, being exposed to. And what they do, this is more of a digital piece of work, but
Mm,
they wanted to understand how to really, they had certain hypotheses on the digital communications, right?
mm,
So you can imagine they do a lot of press release, they put a lot on their website. They always, it's an industry is evolving continuously. And then what we looked at, the piece of work we did, it actually unraveled the fact that they just didn't have one stakeholder on digital, but they had many, right?
mm,
And then when you have many audiences
mm,
who are attentively careful to what you say, where you say, how to say it, then becomes difficult to tailor comms
mm-hmm,
around, right?
mm-hmm,
So, and then also that goes with the role of channels. What is the role of website, digital versus it could be print, it could be
mm,
outdoor TV, right? So what we did, but when we unraveled all these audiences, we say, well, you need to prioritize them. So we do that. All the digital communications will be focused on a number of stakeholders,
mm-hmm.
which is key because they change the way they communicated externally on certain channels.
Yeah,
And they change the way they frame their messages and the type of measurement evaluation they do.
yeah, yeah. So in terms of that tailored communications,
Mm.
tell me a little bit around how you've done a project, client's happy. How do you go about sharing and embedding those insights within an organization? How can you get them to kind of take you seriously?
Or with them, it was, I have to say, it depends. So in this case, it
Mm-hmm.
was easier, but it took a long time.
Mm.
And how I did it is again in partnership. They were, you can imagine, because of complexity on the space, that I had to present a new strategy to different stakeholders in different departments.
Mm.
And each of these department had a different, first of all, when it comes to digital, it is it's difficult to have, like, you have people with different knowledge of that space. Even when it comes to comms, it comes to, the being relevant to different audiences. So how we was embedded was about how we fed into a lot of their work internally for the
Mm.
stakeholders. So they had presentations to wider groups, so we fed into that. But we had to tailor it based on, again, our audience, who we were talking to. Was it like PR? Was it media? Was
Mm.
it more comms? Was insights? So it was a lot of sort of disseminations, but in tiny
Okay.
bits.
Pods. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then at the end it was there was agreement around that was the space to
Okay.
move forward with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was more like tailored, and those presentations were very long or very, but actually some of them were more detailed than others.
Mm.
So it's
Mm.
all about, again, going back to storytelling, but thinking about who are you speaking with.
In terms of the client, the
Yeah.
stakeholder. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We do also a lot of workshops for embedding. As I said, we also have a great, which is the purpose of Insight Consultancy, work very closely with strategists who are brilliant at,
Mm.
are actually giving you that, um, helping you, just not just what that means, but also how do you actually, as an organization, how you do embed it internally.
Mm.
So we
Mm.
work very closely with them as well.
So that's when it works well. What challenges have you come across in terms of embedding insights, encouraging engagements in insights? What are the difficulties that you faced, and how have you overcome them in encouraging a business and organisation to become more insight focused and insight centric?
Mm, a lot of them, and again, I think it goes back to the narrative. Many times, it's just I would the assumptions business or clients have to know everything already, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing new you can tell me. So, and it's also, if you think about the outlook, budgets have really shrunk based, for research. Many, there's something that's outsourced, but there are clients, so for certain insight functions have been more brought people in, well, like one type person that would do. And also the fact, when the insights, oh, sorry, the budget is smaller, then you rather focus on the activations, right? The outputs. So
Mm.
put the budget on different, like, product development, or more like
Yeah.
media spend,
Mm.
whatever, for
Mm.
the same ad you've been having for 20 years. So those
Yeah.
are the challenges. So the importance when it comes to that is really showing them that they've been, and we had a very, very, this the same case very recently, where you had to show the clients that we showed them and said, this is not exactly how
Mm.
things. So you have, again, you've got limited perspective of, because, and we prove it to them.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of opening perspectives. You mentioned budget there. It's a constant thing
Mm.
that all agencies, all insight professionals often deal with clients, that clients deal with themselves. In a very literal sense, how can you convince a client to invest 20 grand instead of 10 grand, or whatever it is? How do you persuade clients in terms of negotiate with clients in terms of those budget discussions? Any experience or
Yeah,
tips
no,
there?
this is like my life. any experience. So I, it's not even like breaking it down. I think it's about we usually show we have a very simple way of framing and say this is what we do, this is why we do it, this is how we do it, and usually we provide different tiers and pros and cons in terms. So you can do it for this budget um or for this budget you get this for everything sampling, for instance, recruitment. For this other budget you get this. um how do we usually, again, it's what works very well for but those of whose clients we already have a relationship with is the trial. So you put a bit of budget, and again, it's more like relationship. So you do a trial. This is based on a like a pot of money. So say, okay, let's do this. If that works, we do expand it across other stakeholders. As I said, what I think really resonates is, as I said before, is understanding the people we're speaking with internally. They will want to have something very successful, and they will want to be the first ones in the organizations to have done it, if it's a trial. So I think it's just looking at sure I look the upshot of that. Yeah, this is the budget. If it works, we extend it. But if it works, you're gonna have, and it will work. It works. You're gonna have so much recognition internally for your own career. We are not saying this to a client, but it's clear then when we frame it around. We're not saying guinea pigs. We're framing around, again, you need to have a relationship already. You frame it around, we tried it with you, and then we extend it. Then for not all of our stakeholders, for some of them is they see it as a chance for them to progress internally. So it's also, this is it's where they stand and what in their also career path. That it's very important to understand.
Yeah, so it's that proof of concept for the business as a whole, but then also, in terms of your individual clients, the kind of personal benefit to them in their careers. Really interesting.
Yeah, but also I think it's definitely, I mean, this is making it actionable. We don't want to have something to give them something that sits on their desk and gets forgotten.
No.
We want to give them something that they use and reuse. And for whether it's product development, because I'm thinking about challenges brands have to differentiate new markets. There's I say similarities across most industries. How do you also and be culturally relevant? How do you do that, right? And how do you how do you evolve your products, your category? And I think it's linking it is the what insights give you at the end of the day that it makes you have or make actually allows you to make better decisions, and you are, as a client, you're convinced that those decisions are better for the business than if you didn't have insights.
Perfect. Yeah, that it's basically the gap, isn't it? This is where you currently are, and this is where you could be, and whatever that gap is, it's personal progression, it's brand progression, whatever it is. But that really helps sell the benefit of insight. We've heard a lot about your experience, kind of your journey, some interesting points there in terms of, kind of demonstrating value to clients. Looking forward, do you see any challenges, changes in the insight industry in the next 2, 5, 10 years?
Yeah, there are many. We already touched on the budget shrinking. The other is, as I said, the challenge would be clients. I'd already mentioned is like the flattening of human understanding, right? So it's like, oh, we've got AI. We've got self-serving tools. We can do online communities. We can extrapolate insights, all for like what, £500, what, even less. So is that convincing clients that those tools can be very useful, but you still need human, insights come from within. I really believe insights come from
Mm.
within, and when you need
Yeah,
a
yeah,
person to be
yeah.
able to extract them, right? To be curious enough and to be intuitive enough to
Mm.
get to the insights.
Yeah.
Um, and then another challenge is that the differentiation. How do you differentiate yourself as a research inside company? You know, there's so many out there that just come. If you look at the MRS list, it gets longer every day. So how do we differentiate you as what you offer?
Mm.
Um, and
And
yeah, go on, sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. So, uh, I suppose just a very quick question: how can an agency differentiate themselves?
Yeah, and I do think I will say like no, I'm not, but I do think the setup we have started now, and again I think is actually um is a good differentiator because you've got there's definitely a need to have the in more inside consultancy, the bridges in research with strategy and creative, because that then goes back to the I know not many people, just like a bunch of people actually
Mm.
set that up, but it's more about what you can actually provide, which is actionable, and you sort of can touch the output, right?
Mm.
Something that stays with the business for a long time that helps them shape their businesses. So I think is that, and it's more understanding how you plug into, you've got inside, you've got data scientists, you've got strategists, creators. So how do you actually it's having that hub, let's say, of people who produce very rich and deep outputs, but they
Mm.
know what to look for as well. So they're not
Yeah,
spending a lot of time in research, so it can be also very efficient.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just more like showing actually, and I am a big believer, creative can really bring to life insights. And often this is the challenge that you might have with somebody, a client who is not a researcher, but it's a
Mm.
head of comms or head of media, right? And often you've got even head of strategy for in the client organizations. How do you sell in insights and the way they get it?
Mm.
And it just immediately, it just brings it to life, you
Yeah.
see?
Yeah, yeah. The kind of human stories, and I love that phrase, the kind of flattening of human understanding. It's everybody's human, kind of let's represent that. Let's tell those stories and let the
Yeah,
richness flow.
because I think also what happens is that the flattening of human understanding, you really see you forget about the complexity and also the
Mm.
contradictions people have.
Full of
We
contradictions.
we are so contradictory, right? And there are ways we can do actually. We do a lot of work around using certain approaches where we look at what they say in interviews, but then we look at also what they do.
Yeah,
And and then when you unpack that for a client, we've always, particularly when it comes to stakeholders, and the client will go like, blimey, I thought they loved us. But then you see it's
yeah,
that again, it's showing something new and different to the client.
yeah.
Sort
Is
of rock up their world a little.
nice way of putting it. Uh, One final question, ask of you. If you think around uh, making insights matter, you've spoken a lot around mixed methodologies, around
Mm.
multidisciplinary teams. Is there one kind of tip that you would have for making insight matter more to a business?
Yeah, I would say it depends if it's so. I would first say that to know exactly what insights do and what they are. Insights is not data, it's not information, right? So as I say, I think you might get to two insights with a mix of different data and informations, but as I say, it comes from within, and I think it comes with asking yourself what if, or not the why, but also the what if, things are different. So how things internally, I think it's about having that embedding that again, also sort of challenge yourself with the research you've done as been a researcher, and just looking at what you come up with in different ways, sort of puzzle, right? So you first you take it apart, and then you put it together, take it apart again, see if your other pieces match together. So I'm talking about the entire insights matter more um, is trust yourself to have, great research, particularly for I see like we've got very smart young um, team members, juniors, consultants, but also apprentices, and just and just help them grow in that way. So for them to ask themselves, what is this? What does it mean? What if things are different? What is the why is that way? And then this is for internal organizations. And then for clients, it's for them to understand that without actually fresh insights, they won't be able to evolve. They won't be able to capture the complexity of the world around them, and they will stagnate.
Yeah, it's that, as you say, it's an ever changing world out there. We need to understand consumers. There's a whole range of trends, patterns, consumer choices that are in constant flux and evolving, and we need to keep an eye on that and see how it impacts on our brands. Alicia, that has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much. Really interesting to hear you talk around, as I say, those multidisciplinary teams, the kind of what if question. Lovely to hear those insights and lovely to chat. So that's everything from us now. So thank you very much, Alicia.
Thank you.